I'm about tearing down the systems that do not work and rebuilding them to support everybody.
It almost feels like you need to change like a whole system.
I really do not like the education system, and I really would love for it to be destroyed.
We can build a healthcare system where we keep Black women alive.
I'm Josh Muccio, and this is The Pitch. And on Season 12, we tear down the system and rebuild. This time, we're giving everyone access.
Democratize college admissions and allow every student to put their best story forward.
Democratize access to care.
Help everyone create generational wealth. We build technology that makes any mobile app work without the internet. We are a tool that basically promotes free speech.
A lot of democratization this season.
Right?
This season of The Pitch will blow your mind. And if you're one of the investors on our show, your wallet.
I'm in for $25K.
I'm in for $50K, personally.
I'm in for $50K. Hell, if I had it, I'd give it all.
I'm in for $150K.
We'd love to sneak in $250,000 into that same round.
We typically write between $1 and $2 million checks.
If I were you, I would take the rest.
Rest of her round?
Yeah.
I'm ready to put on my valuation cap and go all in.
I'm getting worried about my job security now that Josh has moved over to this side of the table.
I know.
Look, every season quality's gotten better. Like your team, your sourcing team.
Yeah.
You gotta watch out.
Season 12 of The Pitch starts in just 2 weeks on August 14th. And we're doing something different this season. We're publishing the best pitches from our summer cohort as soon as possible so that you, listeners, can experience the story as it plays out in real time. Some of you may even become a participant because the deal will still be alive. There will be no follow-up at the end of each episode because at the very end, one crazy season finale will wrap up every story. This season is going to look and feel demonstrably different from any of our previous seasons. But I hope you'll go on this journey with us. It is, in fact, our best season yet. 14 pitches start August 14th. Mark your calendars and turn on notifications for The Pitch on your podcast player of choice. Or on YouTube at The Pitch Show. See you in 2 weeks. Oh, and if you've ever wondered what happens behind the scenes at one of our events, here's a little bonus for you. All right, here's the question.
All right.
I'm going to start with Charles. I'm going to pick on you, Charles.
All right.
What was your very first investment and what happened to the company?
A precursor or ever?
Ever.
Ooh.
That I independently made?
Yes, let's go with that.
It went out of business, but I've invested in that person 3 times. I'm 0 for 2 and 1. The current thing I think is going to be the one that works.
Wow.
Nice.
Yeah, it was a hardware company.
It's conviction on a person.
Yeah, it was a hardware company.
Yeah.
The things you do as an angel that no one can talk you out of. It was a very difficult hardware company.
Can you say the name of the company?
I probably could. I don't think he would be upset. The company made a product called the G-Tar.
G-Char?
G-Tar.
Is it a guitar of sorts?
Yeah.
Did we have them on the show?
I don't think you've had them on the show.
Okay.
No.
We had a guitar pitch on the show. We never aired it.
He's
anyway.
Really talented founder.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. Is he still doing hardware?
Then he did a VR company, and now he's doing something that is thankfully, mercifully not hardware.
I see the progression.
It took him a little while to get there.
Hardware is so
Part
hard.
of me always feels a little sad because we all know academically that hardware is hard, right? But sometimes you just also need that in the world.
I know.
We want it to
Somebody's
exist.
got to do it.
We still do 5 to 10% hardware. It's
Keep
just
sending me. Keep sending me. I'll do it.
yeah, it's just
I'll be the crazy
unforgiving. That's the problem. Software is way
Yeah.
more forgiving.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By far.
Yeah. Elizabeth, how about you? What was your very first investment?
So long ago. I'm not even sure which one was the first. I think it was in an SPV that 500 Startups was running. I think it was Wanderable.
Wanderable?
Wanderable. Yeah. And now actually that I'm kind of blanking on exactly what they did. I want to say it was some sort of trip registry.
Okay. Like one of
But
those travel.
I knew actually both of the founders from many years even prior to that, and they're really good operators. That company had an exit to Airbnb. It was, I think it was okay. Didn't lose money.
Yeah.
But I also, I think, only put in $1,000. And and I think one of the founders is still at Airbnb.
Wow. Mac?
So the first investment that I brought in and led that I got across was like my third week in venture working for the state of Maryland. And I met this founder at a local co-working space. There was a company called Osmosis. And what they did was they would take, they took notes from, it was a platform for medical students. And so they would basically take all your notes and digitize them and turn them to like these daily flashcards and turn these medical terms into like these whiteboard definition charts or videos that they would do. The company had grown like crazy. I think the Udemy's like medical staff had left, so he hired their entire team to do his tech. And at the time, they had a partnership with Wikipedia, where in certain medical terms, it was their whiteboard videos that would come up. And the founder did not want to take any money. He didn't care about venture. He was like this super smart guy who he was getting a degree from Johns Hopkins and an MBA at Stanford at the same time, kind of a thing. And I was just like, oh yeah, you should take this money.
Yeah.
And so I'm like 3 weeks on the job and I'm explaining to him like the power of this money, how he could grow faster. The state of Maryland does the deal. The company starts growing, moves to Colorado. When they moved to Colorado, the state of Maryland asked for their money back.
What?
With just the interest, so no real upside.
Yeah.
And 4 years after that, so I guess 2 years ago, they got acquired. So my very first investment was an exit.
Was a good exit, but you got nothing from it.
That was Shiv, right?
Absolutely nothing. Yes, that was Shiv.
Yeah.
Shiv's amazing.
He's great.
So that was my first investment. So one for one, my next three all went to zero within 6 months. Wow.
Jesse?
So I guess my official first time I ever wrote a check into a company would have been into WeWork as I was starting to work with Adam there. So that story has been written. It was up and then it was down. Now it's down.
How early were you?
So I got involved when we were like 4 people in 2010. And so we had not raised any money yet. We were first floor in Soho at Grand and Lafayette. I'd say my first like company that I wasn't more deeply involved in was we were just talking about, but Squire was the first angel deal I did, and they went and pitched like every venture investor. Everybody passed, and I wound up writing their first $100,000 into the company, mostly because they, we use the term hustle a lot. They were hustlers. They were really strong. Mm-hmm. They were really smart. But they found a way to share one hot desk in WeWork. And so they would come in, one of them would pay a very small amount, take a desk, invite the other one in as a guest every day. Mm-hmm. And then they'd stay until the staff left, and they'd work in a conference room until like 3 or 4 in the morning every night. So they got like 2 people full time for, I don't call it $100 a month. I was
so
like,
you're
that's pretty
in
good.
WeWork seeing these guys just hustle and grind. You're like, I got to write a check.
Yeah, exactly. So they're still running today. That's one of my best performing on paper investments. We'll see. It's at 160x my cost basis.
Nice.
But
that's a good one.
We'll see.
Yeah. And what do they do, real quick?
They're a platform for barbershops to both manage their business and attract customers. They started as like a marketplace to find a barber.
Right.
They're a YC company, right?
They did wind up going through YC later. Yeah, they were. They tried a lot. Mm-hmm. They went through a lot of accelerators, a lot of programs. There's no straight path for this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Cyan, how about you?
First, I'll say I'm extraordinarily lucky to have this one. But it's SpaceX, and it was
your
because
first check?
It was my first check.
Well, we should leave. I'm like, we're good.
Mic drop right there.
Yeah. at the time, you just keep in mind that rockets were still blowing up on the launch pad. And our friend Luke Nosek came over to our house, and he was on his knees crying, saying, you know, I can't get anybody to give me money. Like, do you guys have any money in your couch? Like, like what money do you have? And everybody's looking at me. And I was like, because we had just exited from Ironport to Cisco. And so I was just like, well, here goes nothing. And basically everything that I made from that acquisition, I just rolled it over into SpaceX.
Oh, wow. You rolled all of it?
All of it over into SpaceX.
Holy cow.
And because I thought at the time, I was like, I'm young. You know, we were young. We were alumni there together.
We worked together, yeah.
And I was just like, I have a bit of a safety net now. I'm employable. So, because I thought at first, like, should I go to the stock market? Should I buy land?
Yeah.
My husband's like, no. And he's like, do what we all do. And he's like, give it to Luke. So Luke was raising an SPV, and one of the first SPVs that there weren't that many back then. And he was going to every single person, like, just begging. And the conviction that he had, this, like, he was just like, Elon, this, yeah. I was just like, okay. So I talked to some NASA engineers, and I was like, all right, well, here it goes. So that was definitely a we'll see for a long time.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And every time, you know, obviously, like, there's like a news event or whatever, you're like, we'll see.
Your Google alerts are just like on fire.
But you just can't be tied to any outcome with it. You just can't really think about it that much. But I'm extraordinarily lucky to have, you know, the friend group that we have and to be at that place at that time and to be able to make that decision.
Yeah.
Well, I find the conviction to put it all in
Yeah, I
the
went all
incredible
in.
part.
Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, I was just like, you know, I slept under my desk. I worked hard. We all worked hard there.
Yeah.
That was a tough company to work at.
Every other Saturday.
And yeah.
Wait, you were at Ironport
we
too?
were there
worked
together.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah, we're alumni together.
That's how I met her. Yeah.
Yeah.
I did not know that. That's
how I met
amazing.
Scott too. Yeah.
Yeah. So we all worked there together for years.
That was an intense place.
It was a very intense place. Very, very
Was
intense
this
place.
both your like first jobs in tech?
No.
No.
When was this?
Charles went on to do like a lot of really amazing game stuff, and
I joined in 05.
03
Yeah.
for me. But yeah, it was a very intense, very, very driven, type A personality.
Yeah.
But probably one of the best companies I've personally. I don't know what your
Also,
experience
like
was
the
like,
alumni, the exec alumni have like all gone on to do like
but amazing things.
amazing things. Schlamp and
Yeah.
Weiss and all those guys. Yeah.
It was probably one
Extraordinary
of the
people.
best companies that I've ever worked at, for sure. And, you know, and so I just really felt like I'm going to take this risk because all these wise people around me do this.
And I mean, it's a rocket. Like, if we're right, like,
Yes.
we're going to space.
We're going to space.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Did
I always say
anybody
get on a rocket ship.
did anybody tell you, hey, Cyan, maybe don't invest all your money
No.
in this? No one told you otherwise?
No.
You're surrounded by great people.
They're like, go all in, just everything, just all.
I
We keep in
respect
mind
it.
that these guys, like, often they're wealthy on paper, but they often have no money.
Yeah.
So if
People
you have
don't
money, you
realize
should
that.
go all in?
Yeah.
That's what Elon and all these guys believe. Elon lives in a trailer. That's not a joke. He sleeps on my friends' couches and goes to their houses. That's also not a joke.
That's so weird.
All the money that he makes, he puts right back into his companies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sounds like
Everything
running.
else is
Sounds like
I
running
mean-
a venture fund.
100%.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
I've
I
read
think-
his story. Like, he is, like, it was very touch and go. Like,
yeah, same thing with Luke Nosek, who was one of the founders of Founders Fund. Like, he constantly, every bit of money he makes, he gives it to Elon. You know, like literally just goes into Elon's companies and stuff that Elon does. Or founders that have a lifelong vision. And so sometimes, like, it's interesting because sometimes people will see, like, the PayPal mafia, they're like, how could you not afford that? And they're like, well, because I have no liquidity.
Yeah.
Yep.
I just put
Right.
it all into something. And I do admire them for that. I admire that they look at these moonshots and they basically put everything into it. And they taught me that.
Yeah. You went all
You
in
know?
on a literal moonshot.
On a moonshot.
do you agree with that? That sort of investment philosophy? Now that
That's
you're,
how Scott and I live our lives. We are evergreen. Every exit we have, we deploy it right back into the ecosystem. You know, a lot of people like to lecture us, like, why don't you just sit on a beach and drink Mai Tais? And it's like, well, I'd rather change the world. I'd rather put all this money to work. And it does mean that sometimes our life looks a little weird because people are just like, how could you struggle? And it's just like, well, sometimes companies aren't going public,
Right.
They're not getting acquired.
Last few years were tougher. Right? That's
And they're tougher. And so I think, there's a lot of talk out there about people who are high net worth or whatever, like not using their money to create jobs, but obviously they are, and I think it's just sort of a misunderstanding of that. But anyway.
Sure. All right. That was great. I enjoyed that a lot. Okay, so we're gonna reset. So if you guys need to use the restroom real quick,
yes.
We're gonna bring in the founder.